When we talked about the traits of the robots, and basically the mandatory traits, one of them was that robots were adaptable. That is, they changed their behavior according to changes in the environment, changes in its objectives, or even, let's say, changing based on experience. In this video, I will elaborate a bit on that trait, trying to identify or explaining the three main ways a robot can adapt its behavior. And I characterize these three mechanisms through another three features. I'll describe if that mechanism is online or offline. And when I speak about online or offline, I don't mean they are connected to the internet. But if the change is made uh, while the robot is working, that's online, or if we take the robot apart, make the changes, and then back to work again. That's what I call offline. The other feature is the update or the change is made externally, let's say by humans, or internally by the robot itself. And finally, if the change is physical or logical. And as I said, identify three mechanisms. The first one is configuration. In configuration, we change to some extent how the robot is, let's say. That change could be physical, such as when an industrial robot, in an industrial robotic arm, we change the gripper, or logical one, such as when we change parameters in the software on a configuration file or using an administration tool. Usually, configuration is done offline, not while the robot is working, but in a moment previous to doing that work. And it's an external update. It's something that do humans, not the robot itself. The second mechanism is programming. It's changing the software, the release of software that controls the logic or the behavior of the robot. It's usually an offline change, although could be very short in time, but usually is offline. It's an external update, and is of course a logical update. And finally, the most sophisticated one is learning. In learning, we can apply, in learning, let's say the robot, it changes the behavior according to data, or even better, according to experience. And usually using artificial or machine learning algorithms. It's a kind of change or adaptation that may be done online or offline. When it's offline, we usually call it training. When it's online, well, it's just, let's say, learning, okay? In this case, it's not an external update. It's the robot itself who updates its internal parameters according to the experience or the data it receives. And again, as the case of programming, is a logical change. Change parameters, change software, not the code, but the parameters that control how the software behaves. And I think these are the basic mechanisms the robot adapt its behavior to environment, changes in environment, changes in objectives, or even experience.